Thank you. Thank you very much for the kind invitation, and thank you for coming up with a good title. It's not mine. I decided to stick with that because I really couldn't have done better myself. With great interest, I listened in on the discussions this morning. I come from the other side of Europe, Finland, but I could have substituted Ireland for Finland. So there's something in these kind of, peripheral locations, we still have kind of a sense of society that I think we should kind of try to hold on to and cherish. It's not there in many of the other countries I know of, and I think that's something that unites us. Now, I'm sorry to say, I'm not a professor of economics. I'm a professor of management and strategy, doing strategy, managing people. That's really my area, and I guess that's what I'll be talking to you about today. Now, I'm based at a business school in downtown Helsinki, but for a long, long time, I was based at what used to be known as the Helsinki School of Economics, which then merged with two other universities in the Helsinki region to form Aalto University. This is a question I always like to pose people outside of Finland. Does anyone have any idea what Aalto refers to? Well, you do. Okay.
I'm on the board of Aalto.
Yeah, so anyone else? So, well, you're not from Ireland. You're Sweden, Denmark. Anyone from Ireland familiar with the name?
Yes.
So what is it?
Is it Alvarado, the architect?
Yes.
Yes.
It's the Finnish architect and a very kind of well-known Renaissance man in the Finnish society. He was not only an architect, he was a lot of things. And when the new university started to take shape, one of the key decisions made was to create a new future also through branding and reputation building. And the people, the decision makers, came up with this idea of coming up with something really new in terms of name, in terms of the visual imagery. The logo's quite different from what the three merger counterparts used to have, and it was a big kind of break from the past. And I was listening in on the discussions this morning about differentiation, purpose. And Aalto, I think, from the beginning had a clear purpose to do something different and to cross boundaries, get people from different fields together to do exciting things. Now, Aalto was conceived around 2007. It became a new legal entity at the beginning of 2010. And I was based there, and together with my colleagues who'd been studying corporate mergers and acquisitions for a long, long time, we thought, this is a wonderful opportunity to start to do research on a merger that we are a part of. So from within, from the ground up, to look at what's going on around us, and then have a look at more, let's say, broader strategic management issues through that. So I was involved in that project for a long time, and I made too many notes this morning, so I think I'll just stick to my plan, because there are a lot of interesting things happening here that I could reflect on. But what I want to say is a few words about how to manage a new university from a people's perspective. You need to have a purpose. And at Aalto, it was all about interdisciplinarity, crossing boundaries, creating something new and exciting. You need to manage that. You need to keep a sense of direction with the people. And academics, of course, are not the easiest of people to manage. I'm a good example. I'll say a few words about that a little later. And out of the various, let's say, instruments of strategic management, I decided to say a few words about the new career system that was created at the new university. Now, back in the bad old days, it was all very vague in Finnish universities. And it was very much of an old boys network, doing things and patting each other's backs. And at the outset in the Aalto University merger, it was clear that we need something new. If we want to really do something, new and exciting, become a global player, a world-class university, we need to get our act together, also in terms of managing the careers of our people. So, as the first Finnish university ever, Aalto introduced a tenure track system, which is curious, of course. It's based on US examples, and the US universities are getting rid of their systems. And in Finland, many universities are introducing these kind of systems. And it all makes sense because it gives you a sense of global comparability, puts some structure around these processes that used to be notoriously vague. It gives openness and transparency to how decisions are made that affect the lives of the people. And it gives stability to those who manage to get a position on the tenure track. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but that's an outline, an original outline of what the system looked like, and it still very much operates in the same fashion. Now, some of the outcomes, and this is really important to note, I think, that in its strive to become a world-class university, introducing and managing this new career system, Aalto has made a lot of what I would say remarkable progress, looking at it from within. And I think you have a couple of key issues there. Today, Aalto tells us that some 300 new professors have been recruited through the system. And that's a huge number, considering that the current figures are at Aalto that Aalto employs roughly about 400 professors. So these two figures come from different sources, but if you put them together, it means, the cadre of professors, if you like, has changed radically in the new university, and I would say it's for the better. And that brings me to the second point, which I think is remarkable, that Aalto has managed to attract and recruit a lot of talent from outside Finland, and that used to be a huge problem. When I was based at Aalto, the business school, the Department of Management, we were all these white males that Thomas was referring to, and it has been an instrument of attracting more talent and building maybe a new sense of diversity as well at the university. Of course, we studied many management-related issues in the Aalto University merger, and managing people was just one, and this is part of our study where we interviewed people in, let's say, mid-ranking positions at the outset of the merger on their thoughts of introducing this system. So those who were there at the time were kind of wondering, okay, we're building an interdisciplinary university, we're building our brand on that, but all the criteria for evaluating people to get a position on the track and to be promoted on the track are based on discipline-based criteria. So there is this kind of fundamental dilemma or paradox that needs to be managed throughout within these kind of systems. And of course, it becomes an elitist system in a way. So this is my second point, I guess, that you need to manage those people too who don't get a position on this tenure track. So there's this distinct possibility that these kind of new initiatives kind of create two classes or cadres of people, the tenured and the non-tenured, and how to manage that is a crucial issue. Then, there was a distinct risk at the beginning that these kind of systems with the metrics, the evaluation criteria, they will, in effect, privilege a particular form of scholar, and that was something we looked into. But it hasn't really played out that way, as far as I know. It's luckily a bit more diverse, the outcome. Some points that I'd like to raise at this stage. When you build a new university, whether it's a technical university or a combination, you need to manage it, and you need to manage it smart, and you need to manage it with a purpose and a sense of direction. You need to set up these systems that will help people to deal with all the problematics that come along with this merger process. So the career system is just one example, but in the case of Aalto, a very important one. But then you need to manage all those others who are not on that tenure track, not in that particular career system. So it ain't rocket science, right? Fairness, transparency, clarity should be, the cornerstones of all management done throughout the university. My final point is about timing, and I'm thinking about TU Dublin now and the timing of the merger, because when the idea that actually initially came from the Finnish industry and business community that we need something new in Finland, we interviewed many stakeholders at that time. One of the captains of industry said quite clearly that Finnish universities are shit. We need to do something about it. And Aalto was, an answer to that. And that was back in 2007. All sorts of good things were promised. More resources, let's go and conquer the world. And what happened in 2008? Finland, amongst many other countries, was hit with what turned out to be a long recession. So the dynamics of the merger changed from that, enthusiastic discourse to more, cost savings and efficiency and synergies. But they were present, these two discourses, throughout, and they are indeed present still today. So I would say that the changes in the operative environment, the context where the merger happens, play a huge role. So you might be on the lookout for what's going on around you when you start to embark upon the journey of merging. My final point then is that having studied corporate M&A for a long time from the perspective of culture, identity, social-cultural integration, all that, I was happy to see that we hadn't been all that wrong with our studies in the corporate world, because we found everything in the university merger. Now, what I decided to do, I think Aalto is a success, not only because you're here. I tell that to everyone. Depends on, of course, who you ask, what's your perspective, what's the time frame, and so forth. But relatively speaking, I think Aalto is a success, but I decided to move. I was based in downtown Helsinki, where used to be the Helsinki School of Economics, I think, in a beautiful main building built in 1950, not by Alvar Aalto, but someone else, and had a nice campus at downtown Helsinki that I enjoyed. Everything was close by. I lived 400 meters from there. And when one of the, I'd say, biggest strategic decisions in the Aalto merger, the campus decision, which was touched upon here this morning, and I think it's a huge one. Moving houses definitely is one of the big issues in one's life, and I refused to move to the suburbs, what I think is, way out there outside Helsinki. It's actually in the city of Espoo. It's only 8-10 kilometers away, but it's symbolically speaking, it's a long distance. I like to walk to work, and I still do, and I thought, now is the time for me to, think about myself and my career and make the change I've been pondering on for a long time. Luckily, there's a business school across the street from where the Helsinki School of Economics was located, and it's a Swedish-speaking business school, and I, a Finnish speaker, am now part of that community. I thought it was a good idea for me. So, my point is that people behave strangely in these kind of change situations. Mergers and I'm serious about this. And I'm a good example, I suppose. You need to manage me, and even if you manage me well, I do something else. Thank you.